And now, it's time for Healing from Within with your host, Tony Valen.
Welcome to Healing from Within. I'm your host, Tony Valen. You can contact me, Tony at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen, or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Joining us on today's show is Dr. Joseph Gallenberger. Dr. Gallenberger is a clinical psychologist with 30 years experience. He's also an author of many books and CDs, and a teacher and a public speaker. You can learn more about Dr. Joseph Gallenberger by going to syncreation.com. That's SYNC creation.com. You can also like him on Facebook, and he does have his own YouTube channel under his name, Joseph Gallenberger. Dr. Gallenberger, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tony. How are you doing today?
Doing wonderful. I'm going to start out with the question that I always ask everyone. What are your gifts, and how did your journey begin?
I had a lot of oneness experience as a kid and telepathic experiences, out-of-body experiences, that kind of thing, and really began to explore that under Christian mysticism and then Eastern religion, and got a PhD in clinical psych. So I guess some of my gifts would be a pretty deep spiritual background and a loving heart. So combining those with some discernment from looking at things from a scientific point of view, exploring things like we'll probably get into called psychokinesis or telekinesis, looking at meditation from a scientific point of view, and putting that kind of thing together really to help people manifest and create what they'd like in their lives, do energy healing, those kind of activities are what my interests are. And at this point, another gift, I guess, is 30 years experience doing that in many different kind of settings. So I'm real excited to be on today and to share with you and the audience the kinds of things I've been learning and doing.
Wonderful. I introduced you as an author, and you've written two books, or the two books we'll be discussing today, Liquid Luck, The Good Fortune Handbook, and Inner Vegas, A Story of Miracles, Healing and Heart. Overall, what is Liquid Luck about?
Well, after doing a lot of work in university laboratories with psychokinesis, meaning that idea of bending metal with your mind, growing seeds in your hand in a few minutes, under scientific protocol, I began to work out in Las Vegas to perfect that, if you will, get a black belt in psychokinesis. And after many years of doing that and developing programs for Monroe Institute, I wanted to find a way to sort of gel all that down into about a 30-minute meditation to give people a real taste of what might be possible if they raise the right energy and focus it in a very clear way. And so the CD exercise Liquid Luck came out. And when it did, within hours began to get stories of people selling houses in an hour that have been on the market for months, finding soulmates, winning lottos, solving engineering problems, getting ideas for inventions, all kinds of things began flooding in. So as they accumulated, I thought it'd be a good idea to write a book about that. So Liquid Luck, The Good Fortune Handbook, talks about the stories people sent in, as well as why the exercise works so well, why it's important. In the exercise, we bring in energies such as happiness, compassion, feeling abundant, feeling grateful, and even feeling fortunate, which in our culture, it can be an insult to say to somebody, oh, you're just lucky. So we look at all that stuff, why it works when put together. And that became Liquid Luck, the Good Fortune Handbook.
Very interesting. So tell us about happiness and grounding.
One of the first things we do in the Liquid Luck meditation is to imagine a vial filled with golden liquid in your mind, and into that liquid, the first energy we put is happiness. And we find that that's a very central energy for feeling like you want to be here on the planet fully, which is the word grounding, being here in the present moment, not worrying about the past or the future. And over the years, we found that probably happiness is a thing that correlates most with having a good, successful, long, and healthy life. So they've done studies even where a real smile in your graduation picture from high school can predict your success over life, compared to that if you had a fake smile in that. They had a study with nuns when they joined the convent and followed the nuns for 30 plus years. And the ones that wrote a happy essay at the beginning of their journey did much better in terms of longevity and health compared to the other nuns. And they were all kind of believing the same things, eating the same food, in the same kind of environment, getting the same kind of exercise. So those things tell us that happiness is very powerful. So that's why that goes in there. And as I mentioned, it's real hard to move a mountain, if you will, if you're not standing solidly on the ground yourself. So this idea of being fully present, bringing your spirit completely into your body, being connected with earth energies, and then projecting that energy outward is what we found effective. So that's why we put the word grounding in there.
Very interesting. Now, so from what I'm hearing about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a matter of setting the intention, visualization, and the right attitude that'll help you create the life that you want. Is that correct?
Very much, but easier said than done. Tony, often fear will cloud that. Fear in the form of limiting beliefs like nothing good comes easy, or no pain, no gain, or I don't deserve it, as well as emotions such as anxiety, depression, those kind of things. So to really be effective, you need good ways to clear that. But if you can then raise a very high, continuous state of lovingness toward yourself and others, that's a very powerful energy to direct toward your manifestation work.
Absolutely. Now, I know that you also talked about other terms, synchronicity, serendipity, timing, and trust. What can you tell us about each of those?
So synchronicity, serendipity, timing, and trust is a title of one of the chapters in the book Liquid Luck. And what we find when we raise all this energy, and the way the meditation is designed is then whenever you want to have a really lucky day where everything goes the way you want it to go, you imagine taking a drink of this energy liquid you've developed during the meditation. And what we see then is these things that you just mentioned coming into being. So for most people, they're aware of synchronicity as the idea of something that looks like, some people could say, oh, that's just coincidence, where a good thing happens. Maybe you're thinking of Marie and she calls you, or you meet her in a restaurant unplanned as you're eating dinner with somebody else. Things like that are fortuitous. Albert Einstein, Carl Jung talked about them and really looked at and believed that events can be related not just by cause and effect, but also by meaning. And so this area of synchronicity really gets into aspects of relativity theory and quantum mechanics. Serendipity is a word meaning that a person has synchronicities and they are able to take advantages of them so that you see them and then have the courage to act on them. So that's the word where serendipity came from. It came from a Persian fairy tale, The Three Princes of Serendip, where the heroes were always making fortuitous discoveries by accident. So that'd be kind of the thing like when you're looking for some other scientific discovery. You discover penicillin, quote, by accident, but you are aware of the discovery and you take advantage of it. So these things relate to timing and trust. So we set that intention for whatever we'd like to create in our life, and then we move into full trust in ourselves and in the universe as us being good people and the universe being a good place. And we pay attention as signs come along in the form of synchronicities, serendipities, that will take us in the direction of our goal.
Very interesting. You also mentioned psychokinesis, which I find very interesting. So were you able to do psychokinesis? You actually were able to manifest it?
Yes. Initially, I got into this when I was working. I still work at Monroe Institute about 10 weeks a year. I've been there for about 25 years as a trainer there. And in one of their meditation programs, meaning people have been meditating for days, getting their energy very high, somebody had a headache, and I had a sense if I touched them, their headache could go away. And that's what happened. But that's real messy. You don't know if I did it, they did it, it was going to go away anyway, or what's going on. But I found that that same energy, many people experience it as a wide open heart, maybe their hands being really warm, feeling grounded to the earth, connected to the spirit. I could roll dice in patterns. So if you wanted 7 sevens in a row, for example, rolling dice, you could do that. Seeing that, I went to university laboratories and participated in their experiences, again, defining psychokinesis as the ability to use your energy to affect physical matter. Same as the word telekinesis.
Right.
So there they in science, they'll often use what we call random number generators. It's like flipping head tails on a coin 1,000 times a second, and you're trying to influence. It should be 50-50 heads, tails, and you're trying to influence it one direction or another. And got some results on some of the experiments there that were thousands to one by chance, which indicated to the scientist in me that this is not just wishful thinking, this can occur. So changing the height of a fountain, bubbles by random hydrodynamic law, the water keeps changing column height, could keep it high for 15 minutes and low for 15, where the fountain's behind glass and you can't touch it. Again, random number generator, maybe picking pixels from pictures, one picture being a kitty cat, another picture a pyramid, and you think with your mind, here, kitty, 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 and get the computer to pick all the ones to get the pixels from the cat picture until the cat picture gets really clear. And the cool thing about that, Tony, is there's pseudo-random number generators and slot machines. So I've been out in Vegas and I'll have a goal, say, of a royal flush in hearts, which we know scientifically is 160,000 won by chance. Sit down and get it in the first pull. And over time now, being out there with 77 workshops called Inner Vegas Adventure, over 15 years, have seen amazing luck, not only in me, but other people, that points to this psychokinesis, where we see some results at 1.6 billion to 1 by chance.
Wow, that's very interesting. So someone studying psychokinesis, how long would you say it would take before people start seeing results or actually feeling like they're getting somewhere?
It can be very quick if the excitement is high and the person is inspired to do it. So there are some videos on YouTube, I don't know if they're fake or real, but they show people, for example, bending spoons, and I've had reports of people just watching that and able to do it. The way we do it is we're using psychokinesis as a feedback mechanism to show that, yes, you are generating the type of energy and focusing the correct way to manifest what you want in your life or to do energy healing. So we prepare more than that. But that said, I had my teenage daughter, I think she was about 12, where we have bent spoons around the house, and she kind of said, I don't know about that. And I began blah, blah to talk to her about how to do it. And the phone rang, and I just turned away for a second, picked up the phone, looked back, and she'd bent her spoon. I said, "What'd you do?" And she said, "I got tired of listening to you. I just shot fire out of my eyes at it." When they have spoon bending parties, Jack Hawk is probably the most world famous for these. He'll get 300 people together. He'll always have some kids in the audience because they often do this more easily than adults. Chinese have studied this a lot, and they find they do best starting with young children from rural areas, not cities. And then many kids lose this around adolescence, and they may be able to get it back as an adult if you then put some effort into it. So within the home study course, Sync Creation, like the name of my website and things, we include the dice and seeds for growing in your hand. In a few minutes, we can get root growth an inch long, and set up a meditation and stuff for people to accomplish it. So the way we do it, probably 95 to 99% of people are successful. If you just did it spontaneously in a group, large group, say 1,000 people, you might get 4 or 5 that could do it right off the bat.
Wow. It's very interesting. And yeah, I am so amazed by that. And I really would love to study that. And I'll probably go into your website. That's synchcreation.com. Is that correct?
That is. And there's on the top left, a newsletter that's free, and right under there, a tab that if you click it, you can see previous articles, and there's quite a few articles in there about tips for energy healing, for doing psychokinesis and things that people can look at and not have to buy anything, just look at it.
That's wonderful. Explain what binaural beat meditation is.
Well, Tony, binaural beats have been known about for 100 years. And what we find is if you put one tone in one ear, say 104 cycles a second, and another tone in the other ear, 100 cycles a second, the brain will go into the difference between those two tones. So the cortex of the brain will start beating at 4 cycles in my example. And 4-cycle rhythm is what we have, say, from when we're asleep. So you could generate these or listen to over headphones. And if the person wanted to go to sleep and that's what the frequency was, it would help them go to sleep. Other ones for deeply relaxed, other ones for creative states, for getting in touch with guidance, for very high energy states such as psychokinesis or healing. So it doesn't involve any dogma. You don't have to believe a particular religion. So people coming up to Monroe Institute, they've studied binaural beat technology under the name hemisync for 40 years. They can be Republican, Democrat, atheist, Buddhist, or fundamental Christian, what have you. And most, if your goal is to relax, to pray better, to be more in touch with your guides, the binaural beat CD meditations will help you do that. So people who have trouble meditating under other systems or even just sitting down and not getting distracted often will find within 5-10 minutes being very relaxed and accomplishing a great deal within a half-hour meditation. So all my CDs that we'll talk about, including the Liquid Luck CD that we've mentioned so far, have some binaural beat technology to them besides verbal guidance and other kind of magic things going on.
I see. So does that kind of work like hypnosis does in a kind of way, do you think?
Well, if you look at hypnosis as a focused attention, usually involving relaxation, they do have some things in common. Hypnosis is a tough word because there's stage hypnotism, which can be either fake or rely on suggestibility in people. There's clinical hypnosis used by therapists, but good hypnosis and this have quite a bit in common in terms of here on the CD, rather than a hypnotherapist guiding you, the gentle verbal guidance is on there, and you can countermand it, or if the phone rang in the middle, you can get up and answer it. But it does allow you to be in touch with not just left brain ego, but also right brain here now consciousness. And with ego softening, it allows you to move into also the intelligence of your heart. And that's kind of our goal. So hypnosis and binaural beat meditations, if used in similar ways, can take you similar places that way. I think the meditation CDs have the advantage of not having to go to a hypnotherapist and know that they're good and know what they're doing, and not having to give over control.
Absolutely. And everything we've spoken to can be found in your book, Liquid Luck, The Good Fortune Handbook. Am I correct?
Yes, that all that could be referred there too with the stories and things.
That's wonderful. The other book I wanted to ask you about is Inner Vegas, A Story of Miracles, Healing, and Heart. Can you give us an overall view of what the book is about?
Sure. Its title is Inner Vegas, Creating Miracles, Abundance, and Health. The title's a little different, and it follows that journey of discovery at Monroe Institute about energy healing, follows the work through the scientific labs, follows the work going to Vegas individually first for maybe 5 years. And I met quite a few dragons out there, if you will. They all seem to be dragons that had to do with fears, like am I good enough, or even if they now said to me, oh, here comes Mr. Lucky, that would be an ego problem. So how to fight those dragons to stay in the good energies. Then the book goes into starting these workshops with people coming in and finding how healing and the psychokinesis is related to each other. So, for example, Tony, I know one of the early workshops, somebody got up the second day saying they were pain-free from post-polio syndrome for the first time in 20 years. So book talks about how healing and manifesting are related and kind of follows my journey, if you will.
Very interesting. Can you tell us a personal story of casino success?
Well, I'll go back to that Royal Flush. This was kind of a fun one. Mm-hmm. I've had a dozen now, but this is one of the early ones, and I taught all day, pardon me. So I'd had an 18-hour day, and all I wanted to do is kind of hide and relax. And I had a goal of getting this Royal Flush in Hearts. I sat down at a machine, and just as I was putting my money in, a couple of people in the group found me. And they said, oh, Joe, can you teach us how to play? And Tony, I had a chance to be reacting different ways in a split second. I could have said, please go away, you bother me. I've worked all day. I could have said, oh, sure, sit down, but not mean it, Yeah. But I genuinely opened my heart. And so as they sat down, boom, got my Royal Flush in Hearts. And as mentioned, that's 160,000 to 1 on that machine. It paid $4,000 plus, which was fun on a quarter. And I think it was a dollar machine. And it was even better than if I'd been alone because everybody hugged me and congratulated me, took my picture. So over the years, I've learned sitting there, one of my exercises is called Abundance Waterfall, where you imagine all the abundance here in life cascading around you. I'll sit at a machine like that, and my goal often is to hit that jackpot within one or two pulls, and I'm successful quite often. Mm-hmm. Another one I could say is that was fun was I was at a dice table just learning the game, and had become friends with one of the dealers, actually what they call a boxman, kind of the boss of the game, and it was my birthday. And I started betting, and he kept saying, Joe, raise your bets. Where's your, don't be afraid. And I just followed his advice. And at the end, I think I had $3,800 starting with a $20 bill. That was fun too, Tony.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Can you explain hemisync? I know you mentioned it prior, but what exactly is hemisync?
So this goes back to the binaural beat idea. Mm-hmm. And under the Monroe Institute, Bob Monroe began to study binaural beat. He was a sound engineer. He was looking at sleep learning, that stage right before sleep, where you're very relaxed as a place to learn languages and things. And as he kept putting himself in that state using sound, he began to have what was called at that time, he called out-of-body experiences, where his consciousness would float. So as he added everything he could think of to help a person get into this very relaxed state, he labeled that hemisync. So it included interesting things like he had noticed on the train commuting from Connecticut to New York, the click, click, click of the train, people would go into kind of a relaxed state. So he has sound effects like that in there. He has a binaural beat. He has verbal guidance. He has sounds of the ocean. All of that together is what would be called hemisync. It's a trademark term.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know that you mentioned several times now the Monroe Institute. Why is it so important to you? Why this certain institute?
I think it's unique in the world. Personally, for me, with the out of body experiences I had, it was kind of isolating. I didn't tell my parents or anybody around me, thinking they think I might be crazy, but I could go see what my friends were doing at night when I'd go traveling. So reading Bob's books, I went, oh, here's a Western businessman putting this no nonsense language in Western terms. And when I found out about the Institute and went there, their premier program, the program most people take first, is called Gateway. And it was one of the most profound weeks of my life. There was not only the out of body stuff, but meeting other people from around the world who are interested in spiritual things, but from a more grounded scientific basis than religious basis. And so it became important as a second home where I could explore these things. And I deeply respected Bob Monroe. He completely ignored any kind of temptation to be in the guru role. And the place now, I think they've had probably 40 or 50,000 people come through their gateway, 20 people at a time. It's very individually focused. Mm-hmm. It's located in the beautiful hills of Virginia. And over the years now, teaching there, of course, it's become important that way too. It's been a great place to explore my own consciousness and do so in an environment that seems very supportive of that without any independent agenda on their part.
It's very interesting. So if any of my listeners wanted to get more information on the Monroe Institute, is there a website or how can they get a hold of information?
Monroe is Monroe Institute, and it's monroeinstitute.org, O-R-G.
monroeinstitute.org. Perfect. So they can go there and get more information about that.
Sure.
This is Tony Valen, host of Healing from Within. You can contact me directly, Tony at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. We're talking to our guest, Dr. Joseph Gallenberger. Dr. Gallenberger is a clinical psychologist with 30 years experience. He is an author of many books and CDs and also a teacher and speaker. You can learn more about Dr. Joseph Gallenberger by going to syncreation.com. Like Joseph Gallenberger on Facebook, and he also has his own YouTube channel under his name, Joe Gallenberger. Dr. Gallenberger, you have several CDs of which we got, you sent us a couple to look at and explore. The first one I want to ask you about is Liquid Luck, a heart-based meditation designed to increase good fortune. On that CD, you talk about creating transformation box. What is that, and why is it important?
Okay, Tony. So in many of the meditations, the first challenge can be to get rid of the distractions of the day and settle into a good state of focused consciousness. So one of the devices Bob Monroe developed that he called the energy conversion box, I'm labeling the transformation box, is a handy way to do that. You just imagine in your mind a strong box or trunk and raise the heavy lid, and then drop in any current concerns, worries, cares, so they need not disturb you during your meditation. Beyond that, if you have the intention that while those things are in there, that their energy is kind of transformed, lightened, shifted. So say you put in fear of public speaking in the box, with the intention you can have that your unconscious would work on that and sort of ease that issue for you. So not only is it not disturbing you now as you're meditating, but it's less of an issue in your life. So the importance of it is you want a good, clean mind without distraction as you begin to focus and raise energy for manifesting in the Liquid Luck CD and the others I do. And number two would be to begin to bring your own intentionality into finally letting go of some of the things that bug you over and over. So if a person found that they kept putting judgment of self or others or fear in the box or feelings about conflict in a relationship, they might begin to see a shift in those issues so that they're much lighter and are not dragged down by those issues. Does that make sense?
Yes. So basically, the transformation box is is that where you set the intention, or you put whatever you want to deal with into that box, and that's where you deal with it from there? Is that correct?
That's the box is more where you put your distractions in there out of the way, but saying they're not just passively parked there, but another part of your greater self or your unconscious can work on them. Now let me get down to the point of my meditation, which might be to go out of body, contact with guides, or what have you. In the case of liquid luck, the meditation then would begin that imaging of creating this beautiful container filled with liquid that you put in happiness, praise, abundance, and those good energies. And so while you're doing that, you're not thinking, oh, gee, I forgot to take the garbage out on Thursday or whatever else distracting thought might come in your mind.
Right, yeah.
So it's the transformation box is basically to clean your mind and clear it for your main intention for the meditation.
Perfect. Got it. Okay, I got it. The other CD that we got to listen to is The Healing Heart, a meditation using heart energy for profound healing of self and others. That CD, it talks about 3 important wisdoms. What are they?
On there, as after the person has relaxed and before they're moving into raising the type of heart energy for healing, I do note that these 3 important wisdoms can be good to remember. One would be you can learn to heal yourself and others. 2, such healing is a type of manifestation or creating that blesses all that it touches. And 3, the very best energy for consistent and powerful healing is the energy of one's highest love flowing through your open heart. So that kind of sets the stage for that CD. And I'd like to talk about the CD a little. It's one of my newer ones, and we pulled out all the stops. We did all these other things I've talked about, liquid luck and in the books. We'll talk about the importance of opening your heart, and people had great luck with that, but many people would also come and say, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, or I have difficulty doing that in the stressful and fearful times we live in. So Healing Heart series, the Healing Heart and the Abundant Heart both, are designed to help with that. So we use some very beautiful heart-opening type of music. We tune it to what's called 432 hertz, where most music in Western culture is tuned to 440 equals A. And that was put in place when people wanted marching music going on, very active type of music. The 432 tuning is more from the Middle Ages, where the Stradivarius violins and things were formed. Most people listening under that tuning find any piece of music more calming, restful, beautiful. So you can go on YouTube, for example, and listen to Greensleeves played on guitar at 440 hertz tune or a 432 tune. Most people will prefer 432. So we have that. We have the binaural beats that we've mentioned. We also have something that uses the movement and sound in front of you to generate gamma waves, which are in the brain associated with very high states of psychic ability, energy healing, PK, if you will. And they work on something called the Doppler effect. If a train went by, you'd hear it go by that way. That increase and decrease in the higher low tone, and we can use that to generate some gamma waves in the brain. So we put all these things together in Healing Heart, as well as instruction about what we mean to open your heart. And we've been having really interesting results with it. The CD's only been out a month or two. And the first group to listen to it, 2 people with quite difficult heart conditions that had heart surgery came out of it saying that their heartbeat now felt very strong and steady. So they took the title literally, The Healing Heart. Right. And then we've had folks, I got an email this week from somebody in South Africa, and he just says, Gee, I find myself in my relationship with my family, after 30 years of tension and fighting, so much improved. I'm really pleased because I also used to be a negative thinker, and once in a bad mood, it was tough getting out. In the past 3 months or so, I'm becoming more and more the person I've always wanted to be. I get lots more compliments from people about how good a person I am. So we're having some nice results psychologically, physically, emotionally with Healing Heart.
Absolutely. And I think that's wonderful when people such as yourself can put out information to heal people and make people happier and feel better about themselves and the world and their situation.
Well, particularly with the title of your show, I thought that CD might catch your attention.
Yes, absolutely.
And, it is very satisfying, when you see this stuff and say, darn, this stuff works.
Absolutely. And the other CD that you sent to us was Abundance Waterfall, a meditation for enhanced flow of abundance in all areas of life. Now, every time I talk to someone, the first thing that they think of abundance is money, but there's many other types of abundance. And so the CD helps you accomplish any types of abundance. Is that correct?
Yes. So the imagery there, again, we're using the binaural beat meditation, some nature sounds, having a person take a walk down a lovely path in the woods and beginning to hear a waterfall in the distance. As they approach, the sound gets louder, and they look at that waterfall as all the abundance in their life already, such as the abundance of friends, the beauty of nature that's around them, pets in their life, hopefully great health, finances, religious support or spiritual support and community, all kinds of streams of abundance. And then you can imagine yourself even going under that waterfall and feel that warmly cascading around you. And you might see each one of those as a different color. So health might be green, for example. Mm-hmm. And then if you wanted to increase the abundance of health in your life, you see that part of the waterfall and feel that part of the waterfall increasing. And that's been a very popular exercise. People find it makes them feel good all day long. And the power in it is, what we found is, if you feel lack, it tends to produce lack. When you want to make your life abundant, what you want to see is a huge sundae of abundance in your life already, and whatever else you want is kind of the cherry on top of the sundae. Not to mix metaphors, but the waterfall idea gets people feeling very abundant before they even begin to say, and I'd also like to have a little more abundance in whatever area that interests them. And people sure have used it for money, but it also for health and for relationships and many other things as well.
Absolutely. And can you remind our listeners again where they can find all your books and all your CDs?
Sure. The main website you've mentioned is Sync Creation, SYNC, like the word synchronize, and then creation, creation.com. But also, you can go to the names of these things. So healingheartcd.com will take you to Healing Heart. Liquidluckbook.com will take you to Liquid Luck Book. And all of those are, branches on the main website, so you could get there and explore around.
Wonderful. So what's next for Dr. Joseph Gallenberger? What are your plans?
Well, actually, I'm working on a book revision. I wrote a book more than 20 years ago after my brother Peter's suicide, called Brothers Forever. And it followed his journey on the other side and my journey on this side after his death. And he got me really to puzzle why bad things happen to good people, if you will, because he was hardworking, honest, handsome, all the good things, and yet he couldn't get it together in his life. So he stimulated a lot of the abundance work that I've been doing. So the revision is looking at what's happened for the last 20 years to him on the other side, as well as me on this side, what happens in general with suicide when folks have that misfortune in their lives as a loved one doing that, or what happens to the person who does it on the other side, and looking at it from a much gentler, more compassionate perspective than most religious perspectives, which talk about burning hell for all eternity, kind of thing. So That's occupying some time now. I'm also linking up with the remote viewing community because we find that the same energies of open heart to do the psychokinesis are very helpful for intuitive states and remote viewing states. So I'll be giving my first webinar in March on that with a remote viewing group. And I continue to do the Vegas adventures. The next one is, I think, April 23rd to 25th that has room. And so I keep busy, Tony.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Gallenberger, I would definitely love for you to come back and join us on a second show once you've dipped into, everything that you're doing. The suicide thing is very interesting, and actually, I'd love to have you on as we do a live show and have callers call in and ask about that and how you went about your journey with that.
Okay, so that sounds good. It'd be my pleasure.
Wonderful. Well, we want to thank you for being on the show today.
Okay, thank you, Tony. I hope you have a wonderful new year as well as all your audience as we're starting off 2016 here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Our thanks to Dr. Joseph Gallenberger. Dr. Gallenberger is a clinical psychologist with 30 years experience. He is an author of many books and CDs, also a teacher and a speaker. You can learn more about Dr. Joseph Gallenberger by going to syncreation.com, SYNC. creation.com. Like Joseph Gallenberger on Facebook, and look for his YouTube channel under his name, Joe Gallenberger. You are listening to Healing from Within with Tony Valen here on Blog Talk Radio, airing Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Contact me directly, Tony at tonyvalen.com. Please follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Thank you so much, and love and light from all of us here at Healing from Within.